I was like, let me print it out. I'm old school.
I like it.
I also want to really like crinkle the paper in the mic, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
I love how they're not even under the questions.
They're
on
not.
The side.
They're above.
Yeah. It's because this is
it's
about
like she wrote
but
something,
it's not answering the question. You know, it is the umbrella.
So it's on the side.
It connects. Okay. It's a subclaim. Okay.
It's a subclaim.
It's a subpoint.
She's writing in the margins. She's using.
I had to unlearn everything about essays. Okay, I had to unlearn everything about literature and English.
Hey, do you want to read my psychology midterm?
Do I want to read it or do I want to edit it?
Because no, I don't want
you
to
have to
read
tell
it.
me the perspective that I need to be in to read it. Am I just an observer?
You're just an observer.
Can I comment?
But I feel like you're gonna judge me as a person.
Is it view only? Is it comment? Or can I edit it?
No.
What do you got in that bag?
I think you're gonna judge me as a person for my writing.
4 different hats.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
She travels with like 5 every single time.
No, I just looked at the questions. I was like, these are good questions.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was it.
Great. I liked your last.
I'm gonna wing it.
I don't even know what I said.
That's what the mentality I came in with, and I just don't like that I did that.
I can't really read this that good.
I'm sorry, Adam. I'm gonna apologize to you in advance.
That's okay. I use ChatGPT to help me make up some questions.
Whoa!
I changed them. It wasn't like ChatGPT made them all. I need some more advice. Hey listeners, I'm your host Autumn, and welcome to the For You podcast, a podcast built specially for you, youth and young people, by you. If you're a returning listener from last month, we're glad to have you back, and if you're new here, welcome. So just a quick recap, For You is a continuation of TFC's youth podcast, The Think Tank, but this twist focuses on a new topic each month and a guest to simply discuss God. We hope our conversation can resonate and encourage you to grow in your relationship with Him. All right, well, welcome to the For You podcast. Today I have 3 wonderful guests with me. I have Emily Wagner, Emmy Macias, and Gabe Facio. They're all educated people, I guess I could say, educated people in ministry, but they're awesome people outside of all those aspects. But today we're talking about education and the balancing act of ministry and education. And so we're going to just briefly go around and have you guys introduce yourselves, maybe just talk a little bit about what you guys are studying in college, what you guys did study in college, what you're working on, working towards, and whatever else you want to add. So start with Gabe.
Hello, I am Gabe. Our ministry, or no?
Yeah, school, okay. Ministry.
I go to De Anza College, and I'm studying kinesiology. And, you know, I've thought about that a little bit, and we can go into it later. But, and then I do media and also part of the youth leadership.
Nice to meet you, Gabe.
Nice to meet you.
My name is Emily, and I don't go to college right now, but I did go to college. I went to SF State, and I majored in liberal studies, which we're going to get into it because it's very liberal, and it's a lot of studies. But now I'm actually starting an apprenticeship, so I'll be in trade school. So still school, but a different kind of school. And then in terms of ministry, the worship ministry, and I've actually just recently become a greeter, which is awesome. So everybody should try it, greeting people at the door.
That's awesome. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Hello, everyone. I'm Noemi. I go to San Jose State. I was a transfer student, so I started off at De Anza. After 2 years, I transferred to San Jose State. I'm majoring in business administration with a concentration in accounting. And ideally, what I kind of do is, within church, is the worship team with Miss Emily Wagner.
You don't have to government name me.
Which we're missing her.
Miss Noemi.
But ideally, I do a lot, especially in our church, because I just kind of like to serve, and there's always like those little gaps where people are like, oh, can you help for this? And I'm like, sure, why not?
That's awesome.
A willing heart. A servant's
Definitely, heart. Yeah. All right. Well, my first question, and anybody can take it, but what made you decide to go to college in the first place? And also, you can answer that same question for what made you go into ministry.
All right, I guess I'll go. All right, the first one was what made me decide. So basically, I guess we'll get right into it. I just decided to go to college because I didn't know what else to do. Mm-hmm. So I just, why not? I'll go to college. And study something that's familiar to me, which was kinesiology, and it's like sports and all that body stuff. But that's what made me go to college. Not really because I wanted to.
Okay.
And then the second question.
Same thing for ministry.
Oh, ministry. Yeah. I didn't really like look into it. They kind of just asked me, and I was like, yeah, because I started.
That's how it happens. For
Yeah.
sure. Like, do you want to do this? You're like,
Yeah, because I don't know if Steven asked me, but he just asked me when I was like younger, so I was just like, yeah, I'll do it, and then just started loving it and still doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of just get pulled into a ministry, and then, like you said, it turns into like just a love for it. I think it also gets you more connected with church as well. Yeah. So, yeah. Emily, what about you?
School. No, I never wanted to go to school at all, but I had to go to college because I wanted to be a teacher, and so you kind of can't get around it. I will say that in terms of ministry, I was forced at first because I didn't know what ministry was, and I just was like singing and helping out. But I will say in terms of school or college versus ministry, school was more of an obligation, and ministry was like a calling. Yeah, because I actually felt the desire to do it. Like when it was my choice to do it, I was like, yes, I want to do this. This is like a calling, and I wasn't always like doing it full-heartedly because let's be honest, we're not always going to be like, super ready for ministry. But when you're called to something, you're called, and you got to do what you got to do. And so you end up, loving it, and it's harder to get stale than it is in college. Like in college and school, you can get a little bit stale and unmotivated. But when you're in ministry, if you actually have faith and you put actions to your faith, which faith doesn't come without actions, when you're in ministry, you'll actually reap the benefits and see them like broad day.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah.
That was really good.
Where did that come from? No, like I can definitely relate because it's like, we're both seniors. Emmy and I are both seniors. Emmy's going to be graduating in the spring. But it's like, even right now, it's like, I feel like I have senioritis, like, back in high school. I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm tired of looking at this stuff. But I feel like you can get that same kind of way in ministry, too, where you just, maybe it's like a burnout sometimes.
I think sometimes we look at it like a job. Like, I'll definitely feel it sometimes, especially when it's like those heavier seasons in school. I'll come in like on a Sunday and I'm like, I don't want to be here. I'm so tired. And it just feels like, and I just tell myself, like, just go up there. It's just 3 songs. It's like, that shouldn't be the mindset that I'm going up there with. So ideally it like turns into a task that I just have to finish. It just becomes another assignment that I have throughout my week, like relating it back to school. And I really dislike that. And you'll have like those seasons that you have to just go through.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about, like what you're doing in college right now, and are you feeling that way?
I definitely feel the senioritis because I'm like, I'm so close. I like count the days. I'm like, I have 3-ish months left. But I'm definitely just, I think it's more of an excitement for like the next season of my life because I've done this for like, it's 4 years that you kind of dedicate to this and you pour yourself into. And you're just so ready to get it over with that I think that's what's kind of happening. But I do feel like I'm happier in this season because I kind of know how college works. Like I could look back on my freshman year and I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like a blind mice just like walking through school. I was like, I didn't know how to talk to professors. I could like barely format an email. Like it was horrible. And like now I'm like, I know how to do this. Emily's nodding her head right now. She's so disappointed. Please tell us.
No, I mean, I feel very similar. Like when I started college, I just went to a 4-year. I didn't go to, a 2-year or anything. I was just like, I want to be a teacher. I want to teach high school. I know exactly what I want. And look at me now. I'm going to trade school. Yeah. It's weird, but it works for me. Like I still get to teach people, and I still when I'm in school, like because I will be in trade school, like I'm still going to feel all of those things that comes to school because education for me is not, I don't like limits on my education and parameters. I like my education to be a lot of freedom in there, and I like to free think, and I like to, think very critical but consciously and consider all the things and the variables and everyone that goes into it. So, for me, education was always a little bit too limiting, and it was always a little bit too structured, and I was afraid of structure because I thought structure meant I was going to fail. So Now with structure, I welcome it because, as we know, I'm all over the place.
Yes.
But I will say that anyone that's going to school right now, like, if this is really what you want to do, you know, pray about it, fast, and just honestly work hard. Because when you work hard at something and you're able to see that product, it really feels like, wow, I actually did something. And the same thing in your ministry. You can honestly apply that to anything, but ministry and education, apply it to that.
I think you bring up a really interesting point, because I always like reflect on the fact of who I was when I first started college and now, and there's been so many things that I can now apply to ministry, whether it's like being responsible with my time, like actually dedicating myself, learning what it is to just learn, like my learning style, what does that entail? And all of that gets just applied back to like school and ministry and everything else that I do. Like even my relationships and my friendships, I'm like, oh dang, like this is something I learned in college. Stop nodding your head at me. But that's just like a really interesting point.
With Gabe, I'm kind of curious because you're a freshman in community college. Can you relate to any of kind of the things that Emily was discussing or talking about?
Kind of. I don't know. My situation, I feel like I'm going through a lot of changes right now because I really just want to get my life together, and going to college with the mindset that I had with not knowing if I really wanted to, but just doing it just because. Yeah. Also, I think I forgot they were like talking to people, but like advice for that, I would say definitely go and try school first and then figure out if it's for you or not, because if you don't try it, then you don't know if it's for you or not. So for me, I think I'm figuring out that it's not really for me and what I want to do. And I guess I'll answer your question first and then we get into what I want to do now. But no, school, like for me, I didn't feel like any pressure. It was just like boring. I just liked it because like I could talk to friends every day. Yeah. And then sports also, that was an easy like thing to look forward to. But no, not really. I just kind of went through school. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm like the total opposite. I went there for academics. Didn't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to take classes.
That's
I just want to do my homework. Like, no contact.
You wanted to do homework?
I just wanted to get my work done.
You wanted to take exams? Willingly studied?
If I was really interested. I mean, physics, math, no. But like English, grammar, heck yeah. Like,
no.
Put me on it, yes. But what do you want to do?
So I had the crazy idea of becoming a firefighter.
Oh. No way.
Yeah. This is like news. Yeah.
I'm so proud right now.
Oh my gosh.
So I was just thinking about it, and then I was like, I thought about it because I've never like thought about being a firefighter. And then I just thought about it, and I was like, wow, like I think I want to do it. And because I just felt like really like interested in it. I've just been looking on videos and stuff, and actually reached out to someone that was a firefighter that I've known, that was one of my friend's dads. And then I'm going to talk to him, and he's just going to let me know his experience and stuff. So I've been looking into that. And then I might be transferring out of De Anza too.
Okay.
Yeah.
A servant's heart.
There we go.
I guess so.
Helping people. Oh my God. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, it's cool.
Nice. Well, it looks, I mean, from the look on your face, you look like you're actually like interested in that.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
really
before like with kinesiology, I would like, because it's familiar, so I went into it, but like, I was never excited. Like when I tell people like, oh yeah, I'm studying kinesiology, it's like something to say. But like firefighting, it sounds like I'm actually interested and like proud to say that I'm actually want to doing it. So
yeah, you got passion for it. I think that's the most important thing. It's like you're actually passionate about something. I think that follows for ministry and for school. You know, that you actually have an interest in it. You know, that's really going to drive you.
That's actually what I meant by education was very limiting to me, because even though there was a lot of things I could learn, I'm not interested in everything. And also like I'm a very creative and free thinker, so to be in a classroom, not for me. Maybe to be outside is better. Or, you know, like there's a lot of things in college where you have to do with general education. Like I just felt like it was so tedious and it wasn't being challenged. And I'm not saying that I'm super smart or that I knew everything. It's just that it wasn't something that I can apply to my life. And that's why ministry and reading the word is something you can apply to your life. And so that type of learning and education is really good for me when I can apply it. So something like trade school or something like being a firefighter, it's very specific and it's, you know, a niche, right? So you can do something with it, you can apply it. But if you love school and you love education, like I'm I love you guys, because when I was a teacher, I love that student. I was like, oh, they got it. Yeah. I don't need to, really, like, I just need to support them from a distance, and they good. Like, let me leave them alone, because they know what they're doing. So, I'm on all sides.
Love for everybody. I like it. And so, a little bit more about just, like, because we're all balancing stuff right now. Mm-hmm. We all have those ministries, like you guys were talking about. And so, how do you guys balance everything? It's just so hard. You got your ministries. Some of us have multiple ministries, and then you have jobs, you have schoolwork, you have your family life. What are some ways that you find balance?
I feel like we should flip this to you, because you definitely balance a lot.
Well, yeah, I don't know, honestly. It was kind of just like, because I feel like I've been there for a while. I've been there for a semester, but I'm living on San Francisco State campus right now. That's kind of why we took a little hiatus from the podcast. But, yeah, it was just like, I don't know, just moving in and everything. It was definitely a big change, just having roommates and, learning just like how to live with someone, like that, live with 3 people and figure out a schedule and like when I was going to come home and how I was going to get to church every week, because church was never it was a non-negotiable. Like, I can't miss Sundays. Like, Sundays are for church. Like, I don't know what I would do without church on Sundays. But I think it was knowing my priorities. I think at first just saying, okay, like, church is Sundays. I'm going to be reading my Bible, somehow fitting that in, but luckily I have amazing roommates and they sleep in, which is great because I get to wake up early and have my time with God. So it was like, okay, my God time is in the morning, whether that be 5:30 before work, whether that be 6, whatever it is, and just making that priority and then making friends. So I actually started talking to people, which is great.
That's great.
So, yay, talking to people and just getting involved, really, which was scary, but just living life and growing up, which sounds super scary because I feel like more grown up, like I look back and I was like, wasn't I just like 19 and now I'm like 23? I'm like, what happened? But I think just making sure that I knew my priority was church and God, and I still struggle with that. It's like this semester's super busy, and I think just still making God a priority no matter what, even if it's just like 5 minutes, just like reading my Bible or whatever and going back to it later at night. But I think that's what helped me. But I'm curious to know what's helping you guys.
Okay. Well, my first thing is get a calendar. Girl,
Get a calendar.
You need a calendar. I have about 3 now, and they're all for different things.
Really?
Yes. Sorry. But I started in just the most chaotic way of having no priorities. I had no priorities. And especially when I left the church and I wasn't, serving anymore. Like, I was still serving in a little capacity, but it wasn't, it wasn't really, I wasn't going to church on Sundays or any days. I wasn't going to services. So, when I was going to like, now that I'm going to services and now that I'm seeking the Lord and reading my word, that stuff I don't have to put on the calendar, and it's very surprising because I have to put everything on the calendar. Every minute of my day needs to go on the calendar, otherwise. And I still like leave myself room for flexibility. Yeah. But I like that my ministry life and my God connected life is just kind of my fun time. Like, I, chilling with people, reading my word, like that's something that I don't feel obliged to do. Yeah. Like I said before. So I would say when you get your priorities straight, I had to quit a job because it was getting in the way of church, because I was recently back and I was like, I can't work at night. I can't be working on Fridays. I can't be working on Sunday mornings. Like I'm just, it's all job. And yeah. I was like, no, like I had to get a different job and I had to sacrifice, not having any pay because God was more important. So when you put God first, I promise you that everything will fall into place. When you start tithing, everything will fall into place. When you start reading your word, you're going to be happier. You're going to feel like you can solve problems, because you can't solve problems on your own. Like, even the smartest people cannot solve problems on their own. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's hard, and it's hard to do it by yourself, and it's hard to communicate with other people when you have a problem. So now you're just by yourself, and you're in your own funk, and you can't get out of it. So, prayer life, reading your word, serving in ministry, serving in any capacity. It don't even have to be ministry.
Right.
Our fellow Gabe here is going to be serving the community, serving the world with his firefighting, and he's going to be, blessed for that and rewarded. But he's also going to, be able to feel like he's making a difference. And for some people, like, that doesn't really matter until they try it. So try it. Try to get your priorities straight, but just put God first. And then you don't even have to try that hard.
I like this conversation of priorities because I feel like, especially all of us, we're in our early 20s, right? So we're really much in this season where we're trying to figure out who we are, what our lives look like, what our relationship with God looks like. So you're walking through all of these different things that you want to like have in your life, your relationships. And ideally, I always like tell people that like first go to college and like get a prayer life and like start reading your Bible because you're going to need it. And they're like, why? What are you talking about? Like, am I going to like spiritual warfare during college? I'm like, no, you're just really going to need the motivation of it. And ideally, it's like once you make those things a priority, you'll see how much they help you. Because ideally now I look back and I'm like, I can't do college without a prayer life or even reading my Bible, coming to church, talking to you. Me and you talk throughout the week, right? We just rant to each other. Like those relationships, now that I think about it, I'm like, I can't do this without having my priorities straight. So if you really don't have your priorities straight, which should always be God number one, you're going to struggle throughout it. Which is like sucks, but it's ideally what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's true.
I definitely agree with the last thing, or I mean, all the things you said, but the last thing about putting God first and then everything else, you don't really have to try that hard, because that's like me. With my life, it sounds like cliche, but really just putting Him first, like everything else is just easy. Obviously, I'm still figuring things out, and you have your own struggles, but it's not like hard. Like when like it's not like hard.
I know, I'm right.
Yeah, like it would like. I guess for a lot of people, like changing their major and stuff could be like life changing for them. Yeah. But for me, it was just like I could do whatever I want. Like when I know I'm secure with like God and my relationship with Him, I could do whatever I want. So it was just like easy to change and go on that different path. But I like that.
Yeah, I think just making God a priority. It's like you're at peace. Like, and it seems like, the world may be crashing down with assignments and everything else, but He's going to work it out. Like, you got, like, an amazing job now. Like, look at that. Like, you put God first and He's coming through. Like that's awesome.
Yes, He is. He is blessing me every single day. And I love what I do. So that's awesome. And then, to go off of what Gabe said, I tried both ways, okay? I went the way where God is not a priority, and He's there, but it's just more in conviction, right? That I feel sometimes where I'm like, I'm in the world. But I was in the world, and I was having a mental breakdown all the time. Like, I was still having happy moments because my personality is just goofy, and I'm gonna have fun everywhere I go. But there was a lot of turmoil, and there was a lot of things that I could not, like, I had very bad anxiety. I had, like, I was crying about school because I couldn't do it, but I spent so much, we spent so much money and we spent so much time, and I was like, but I have to have a job, and, so I'm working all these hours in the day, and I'm going to school, and I'm trying to, teach people things and be an educator, and also have, my own morals and values, but I don't have God in my life, so my morals and values are shaky. And so I've done both ways, and I will tell you from experience that with God, I'm not saying everything is easy, but like Gabe said, like, it will fall into place. Like, you don't have to try so hard to make your own plans. Like, you don't need to make your own plans. He has a plan for you. Right. And if you read your word, He's going to tell you the plan. If you pray with Him, He's going to tell you the plan. Or He's not even going to tell you, He's just going to show it. And one day you're just going to have, a beautiful family, and a beautiful husband or wife, and a beautiful job, and beauuful money, and everything's gonna be beautiful. Like, the sun's gonna be shining, and you're gonna be like, wait a minute, the air feels different. Hey. But yeah, obviously it's not sunshine and rainbows. I'll take some rain with my sunshine. I always say that. I take everything with a grain of salt, right? So, still be an individual and have a personality, but when your morals and values are rooted in God and you serve in the kingdom, you're gonna be much better off.
Mm-hmm.
Please take my advice.
Please.
Please. Listen to Emily.
All right. Well, with that, because I know that, schools are secular environments, and especially on San Francisco campus. But I think any campus, anywhere you go, the world's there. Not that we're going to judge people or we're going to, we know what we're going into, really, as students. And so what challenges have you guys faced? And, when you're trying to maintain that faith, when you're trying to maintain, God is at your priority while you're pursuing education, what kind of challenges have you faced and how have you overcome them?
I feel like you have a better perspective of it, though, because you studied liberal studies.
Yeah. So I was in liberal studies, and it was very, very, very liberal. There was a lot of classes just like solely based on gender roles, sexuality, and it didn't even say that in the title. Like I would go in a class, like Latino and Latina classes, and they would have like Latinx, and you would just be bombarded with things. Not saying that like, learning is you can learn about whatever you want, but I'm just saying like when you have morals and values that are rooted in God, like you understand that these classes are they're really more biased than you want them to be. Like if they were teaching me about things objectively, okay, that's different. But a lot of the professors and a lot of the material was very biased to look at it like in one perspective, right? In the perspective of, everything is everything, and we don't have to put a label on anything, and when we do put labels, we have to think about this and this and that. It's like, okay, that's your opinion, but let's not shove it down people's throats, because it's hard to digest, and it's not necessarily aligned with my beliefs. I'm not going to force my beliefs down your throat. We can talk about Jesus, and we can talk about gender roles. That's perfectly fine with me. I love talking to people. I talk all day and all night. But to be forcing it on people in a certain light and perspective, and also there was classes where they would shed a bad light on Christianity and a bad light on Jesus, and I actually wasn't even in church at that point. Like when I was in college, for some of my college, I was in the world, but I still felt some type of way when they would talk about Christianity in a bad light. And I was like, I understand that there's certain people that have put Christianity, that the name, there's certain connotations because of how people used it for power and to have control over people, and they used it for that, but that wasn't what it was meant to be. So let's be objective, and let's you're not talking about the Islamic religions and things, like you're not talking about that in a bad light, but you want to talk about Christianity and the Bible in a bad light. So I just think there was a little bit of a lack of respect when they wanted me to also respect what they were talking about. So if you want me to respect what you're talking about, which I do, I respect all these topics, but also please respect what I believe in.
Did you have those conversations with people, or were you kind of just staying in the back?
There were a few, maybe like 2 or 3 occasions where I wasn't, I do everything out of love. Like I know I can have some attitude, but I only do it with people that can handle it. But I've had to have a few conversations with people, or even just like light kind of, banter, I would say. And I always was like, I'm not going to argue with you about, I didn't memorize the whole Bible. Like, I barely just started reading the Bible for real, because before I would just read the Bible and I wouldn't pray before. And I'm going to tell you that makes a big difference when you pray before and you ask God to help you understand it. So I was just reading and I didn't understand. So in terms of arguing with people about the Bible, that's not what we're here to do. There are people that are here to do that. I see them all over Instagram and I'm like, go you. But that's not me. I would speak from the heart and be like, hey, like, I feel like maybe we shouldn't say that. Like, I'm not telling you what to say, but it kind of hurts me when you say that, because I have a very strong connection to the faith. And also I would have to say it to when I was a teacher too, like some of the high schoolers or even some of the teachers would get out of hand, and I'd be like, hey, like, let's respect everyone and let's respect everybody's opinion, because you wouldn't want somebody talking about your family like that, or something that is really, really like something that's in your heart, and you really love you really love the singer and somebody's bashing them. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
We don't need all that. We don't need all the hate. So yes, I have had to have a few of those conversations, but I was trying to be very relatable in them, and I tried to put on my, my very respectful tone, and not offend anyone, even if they offended me. Yeah, it's okay. I can be offended. That's fine. Yeah, but I'm not gonna offend other people.
Yeah, treat them with respect and have a civil conversation. Yeah. Definitely.
But I think the main idea of all that is understanding when you do read the Bible and understand what it says, that's always going to happen wherever you go. Yeah. So there's no like going around it. You just have to be, I guess, prepared and understand the difficulties with that.
Absolutely. I mean, be confident in your faith. You don't have to memorize and know the entire Bible to evangelize or to talk about God. Just talk about what you know. And if you know that you love him, and you know that the reason that you're kind and the reason that you love and the reason that you're even here on this earth right now is because of God, that's relatable. And they might not take what you're saying with respect. They might take it with a grain of salt, which they should, right? Because everyone should experience it for themselves. But it does not hurt to talk about Jesus, even if you don't know the Bible. I feel like people are really scared to do that. I used to be scared to do that. I was like, I don't really know the verses, so I'm not going to say anything. Yeah. But now I'm just like, Jesus is tight. So, let me talk.
Yeah. I think even when you do that, you're like planting a seed, It's like maybe, they don't see it right now. Maybe you don't see it right now, but they'll remember that conversation, I'm sure. And be like, remembering just anything that you said, but yeah.
Absolutely. Flourish like a palm tree. I know. Oh my God. You said plant a seed, so I had to put a song in there. Like, yeah. Okay. We flourish like palm trees. You'll get it. You'll get it later. Y'all will listen to the song. Okay. We'll put the link. We'll put the link below.
Yeah. I feel like there needs to be like reggae music in the background or something. I don't know what the song is. But
you guys will get it.
Is this your song?
Oh. I mean, what about you?
I feel like I didn't encounter that as much, just because of the nature of my major, and also I did my GEs online, so there was less of that. I had really good professors that heard both sides and were really respectful, so I didn't really encounter. That's why I told you, I'm like, you should take this question, because I didn't encounter.
So there wasn't a lot of like politics.
I'm a business major. I took 2 politics classes, and it was just like American politics.
Yeah, I chose war.
Yeah, so
I chose
like,
war.
I'm like, I didn't have to. I'm like, no.
I learned a lot though. I like learning the different sides of things. So I did learn a lot, and it was it was fun, and I met a lot of different people, which I love because hello, you know me. I want to talk to everyone, and I want to hear everybody's perspectives about everything. So yeah,
I like it. And Gabe, I wanted to ask you really quick about, because you're in Bible college.
I am.
And that's awesome. Like, that's crazy. I mean, what got you into it, and like, how is it? Like, I've never really understood how Bible college works. So
Bible college for me, okay, actually when I first started, what got me into it? I was at, where were we? I was on the Tennessee trip. Oh, okay. And I was just thinking, and just like starting, I graduated high school, and I was just like trying to figure things out, trying to grow in faith, always trying to grow. And then it just came to me. I had always been praying, like, what's the next step? Like, I want to grow. Like, I don't want to just like be the same. And then it just like was like a revelation. I just started it, and I just was like, okay, I'll do it. And then the main challenge that I faced when I first started it was trying to understand, or trying to like differentiate like work, like homework, and then like reading because you want to. Yeah. And when I first started Bible college, it felt like I was reading because I had to, like, because the classes like required you to read like the stuff. So that was a big challenge that I had to get through. And then like once I figured that out, I don't know how to make this relatable, but
that's okay. I was just wondering.
No, yeah, that was like the biggest challenge. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Just figuring out like academic versus like having that time with God.
Yeah. Now it's easy. I've figured it out. Found my time for all that. So yeah, it's good. I like it.
Nice. Do you plan on like finishing out like getting a degree with that?
I mean, I didn't join for a degree. I just joined to learn more. Yeah, I just wanted to learn more, so that's why I joined. So if it gets to that point, then it gets to that point.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm really proud of you. I think
Thanks.
I'm gonna have to go.
Same. That's awesome.
But I know we're coming to a close, but I wanted to just ask you guys just one more question about, just any advice you have for those out there. Abby's like, advice?
I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Or just any tips and tricks of just being a student, being a Christian, walking with God, and,
I think it's
what
going
works
to
for
go
you.
back to what we've been talking about, priorities. And I think Em hit on this point, which was trust. I think Gabe also mentioned it. And the importance of just trusting that God really does have a plan for you. And it's hard, especially for me. It was so hard because I'm a planner. I like to plan in my life, right? Like, I got out of high school and I was like, okay, this is my 4-year plan. This is what's going to happen. And, like, I followed it to a T. But ideally, it's like, you really do have to trust in God, and it's going to be tough. And you need to have this thing called faith, which you're also going to have to work on and develop. And it's going to be tough, but get a prayer life, read your Bible, talk to people that are also been in your position now. Like, conversations do really matter. Talk to the M's. Go to Emily. Like, it really does help when you go to somebody and you're like, hey, you've done this before and I don't know how to do it. So can you walk me through it or give me advice? Like, tell me what to do. And people love to talk about themselves. Let's be honest. So they will tell you, go find people that are in your career path or careers you want to get into. Have those conversations. Just be curious about life and careers and even ministry. Just ask questions. That's what I would say.
I would say definitely make friends. As hard as that might sound, but but definitely make friends. I only have one class in person, but I've always, like, my mindset was just to make friends because, again, like, I was going to school for different reasons, but it still helped me, like, make connections and figure out different perspectives, as Em was saying this whole time, because I like that too, and that also helped me. So make friends, and always talk to people that are older than you. Yeah, I feel like for me too, it was easier to figure out, like, how things work because there's always older people around me, like when you're in church. So that looking up to older people it'll definitely help you.
I am in total agreement with you guys. There's a lot of mentorship in the Bible. So, and in my, educational background, we did a lot of mentorship, and I really think mentoring is so important because if somebody did it, you don't have to follow their steps exactly, but it does, like, now you know somebody can get there. Now you know you can get there, right? You can have a family, and you can, be an accountant, and you can be an educator, and you can be a firefighter because other people have done it. And so I think mentorship is so awesome, and you can learn a lot from other people. And I will say, I'm going to put out there, not just mentorship from older people, younger people have something to bring to the table too. I worked with kids a lot, and I was like, I am learning so much from you guys, and you guys are testing my patience. So, having just communication and camaraderie with everyone, like you said, making friends. I will say that being rooted in God and in your word helps when you're making friends because you're able to have discernment when you talk to people, because when you don't have God, you might be easily influenced. Like, there might be some people that have really strong personalities and they're not easily influenced, but, for someone that, wasn't really having a lot of morals and values at one point, I was influenced by people. And, even when I felt like I was being a leader, I was like, wait a minute, I'm on somebody else's territory now. Like, how did I get here? So, just be aware that you can be friendly with everyone. You don't have to be, super friends with everyone, but being friendly with everyone and, talking to everyone, it can't hurt. And your professors too, please. The educators are important too, and they have opinions too, and they are very smart, and they are very, some of them are a little bit cold, but sometimes you just have to open them up a bit. I had very good relationships with my professors and teachers, and I worked at the high school that I was, went to, and I was a bad student, and they still let me work there. So, just talk to everybody. It's not gonna hurt you to talk to someone. What is the worst thing that they're gonna do?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love that point of just talking to people. She's shocking. But yeah, I think starting to like live on campus really like forced me to open up. Like, I have roommates, I gotta talk to them. Like, I'm not just gonna live in this like place and not communicate. So I think that, and then being on the news team at school, it's like, you know, becoming an editor, working with a range of different people from different backgrounds, and just being able to, you know, that's communication right there. Like, you're gonna communicate once, I mean, you're always communicating no matter what. So going to a job, like, that's gonna prepare you. But yeah, I think just making sure that you get mentorship from the right people, no matter if that is people at your school, people in church, wherever it may be. But yeah, well, thank you guys so much for just taking the time to have this conversation. I hope and I pray that it helps someone, it makes someone think a little bit deeper about their balance with education and with church. But for now, that's the For You podcast. That's episode 3. Thank you guys.
Thank you.